Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Terminate Toxins workshop tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to go through some amazing information about how to really start radically changing your life or building upon the journey that you already hear. Just by a show of hands, who of you have been to workshops before? Yeah, so about half of you, which is awesome. And one of the questions I always have is, why do you keep coming back? Even though you've come and learned about maybe this topic or others, what is it that inspires you to keep coming and keep investing in yourself?
You forget some things, or you get a little rusty, or you fall off the wagon, get lazy.
But
All
there's
the
always
above?
new toxins.
Yeah, the new nasty.
That's good. And how many have you guys been to?
A lot.
A lot.
But there's always something that we get out of it. It isn't like, oh, I already been to that. Because
Yeah.
there's always something like, oh, I missed that.
Exactly.
Once you get rewarded, you get a discount on stuff too.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
I'm
Good
sure
deeds
you
are
save,
rewarded.
Plus, you get a break. You know,
That's
so
right.
It's a good thing.
And for any of you, who's this your first event? Okay, couple, first event. So very exciting for you today. You should be proud of yourself for showing up, right? That's always the first step, is showing up. And a lot of people say knowledge is power, but really it's action that is power. So my greatest hope for all of you today is that you take what you learn and you actually apply it into your life. And that's where we're going to go through one of the big problems in health, which is toxicity, and how it affects each and every one of us differently, but overwhelmingly creates all kinds of health problems and really just interferes with you being at your best self. So if you take what we talk about here today and you actually apply it into your life, this becomes part of your lifestyle, well, you're actually going to see these results compound extensively in your life, and you're going to be living a much better quality of life for a lot longer. How great would it be to avoid pain, discomfort, disease, no matter why you're here? If you want to lose weight, have more energy, sleep better, get rid of a health problem, all these things happen when you minimize this toxic stress. So I'm really excited for where this goes. And the biggest thing is that you participate while you're here, take notes. Everyone got a packet? There's some great resources in this packet that we're going to send you home with. I'm going to go through what's going on here today. And our goal is to make this as easy as possible, because health is easy as long as you know what to do and take consistent action. It's being unhealthy that's hard because of how much it affects your quality of life and interferes with everything else. So as we get into it, the reason why we do talks like this is because we believe that everybody deserves to live a healthy life naturally. So many people suffer with their health. And I grew up suffering with my health. And you that have been to workshops before, you've heard some of that story. I mean, growing up, we lived just the regular standard lifestyle. And as a kid, I was with my grandma all the time. She had heart disease and she could barely move around the house. I saw that she couldn't do any of the things that she enjoyed anymore. She couldn't take trips. She couldn't go on walks. She just basically sat around. When I was a teenager, my grandfather died of cancer just a couple of years after he retired, after working so hard to be able to do that, and never got to enjoy that time. My dad died about 5 to 6 years later from heart disease because he didn't take care of himself. And this just compounds and compounds, and I knew I didn't want that for myself and for my family. And so that's why I got into chiropractic and then max living in these 5 essentials, and everything that we teach you here is what I do every day to be as healthy as possible. Now, I'm not perfect, but the goal is to always be better. That's why you keep showing up. That's why you keep investing in yourself. And I can tell you that I'm healthier now than I've ever been in my life because of these principles. And we've helped thousands of people and hundreds of thousands through the different offices we have throughout Max Living live a healthier life naturally. So we know this stuff works. All you got to do is keep showing up and keep applying it. And the longer you do it, the more amazing benefits that you're going to get. So that's our mission, is to help you live a better life naturally and be able to share that with your friends and family and everybody that you know, so that we can change healthcare and we can see more and more healthy people rather than more and more sick and suffering people dying early unnecessarily. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Outstanding. Well, let's get into the things that really interfere and affect our health. There's 3 main stresses: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. That could be also said as emotional, physical, and chemical stress. We are bombarded by these things every day. They are unavoidable to a certain degree. Now, what we can do is we can minimize the effects of these, and we can change how our bodies adapt to these stresses. That's really the key. That's what the 5 essentials is all about, helping you understand and minimize the stresses that are bombarding your health and your life, and how to help your body naturally adapt and function at its optimal potential. Because that's how we're designed. We're designed to be self-healing, self-regulating. Your body has everything that it needs to function well, to live a long, healthy life, to be able to repair and regenerate damage from these stresses, and to be able to fight off infection, disease, every other thing that comes up, as long as we support that and we're not constantly adding to these stresses. It's when the stresses overwhelm your body's ability to adapt that pain, dysfunction, and disease happens. And that's what we want to avoid. Rather than treating the effects of these problems, we help you understand the cause, take responsibility, and become the hero of your own health journey by applying the principles that you learn here today. And that's when you see the miracles happen. That's when you see the amazing life changes happen, and that's really what we're all about. So we're going to focus a lot on toxins today, but we're going to address the other two as well. Because you can't just go in one lane and be healthy. You can't just be super fit but ignore the rest. You can't just eat well but not move and not avoid toxins. That's why there's 5 essentials and not 5 good ideas or 5 recommendations. It's 5 essentials. And when you embrace all 5 and you're continually working on being better, that's when you really get to that next pinnacle. So if there's something you've been working on or you're not quite where you want to be, let's look at today, well, what is 1 or 2 things that I can change and take away from this time to help me be better? And if you do that each time, and you apply 1 or 2 different things, we're going to be successful. I don't expect every one of you to apply everything we talk about here today, right? So don't think that's your job. Like, oh, I got to work on all these things. I want you to focus on 1 or 2 areas that you feel like is the most beneficial for you, that if you changed, would make a big difference. Sound fair enough?
Yep.
Outstanding. So let's get into toxins and really understand the problem, because it is a big problem. There's over 700,000 toxic chemicals that each of us are exposed to every day. And you don't really see most of these. They're floating around in all different types of forms. Now your body is highly equipped to deal with toxicity. You have all kinds of systems that help with that. You have barriers like your skin, you have mucosa barriers, you have glands, you have a lymphatic system, you have a liver, you have a digestive system, you have a urinary system. All these things are designed to process toxins out of your body. And when they're all working well and they're not overwhelmed, your body does what it's naturally designed to do, and it processes these things out, and you keep on going throughout the day. We're going to show you more ways to help support that natural process in your body so it doesn't get overwhelmed. It's because when it starts to pour over that you see all the different issues come up. One of the things that's also important to understand is we are consistently lied to about these toxic chemicals. It's believed that small amounts are okay. But how much is acceptable? What is determined as okay? We have these advisory boards that say, well, this is safe and this is not. You can have this amount of this toxin, but not this one, right? Warning labels and signs on everything. But most things don't have a warning label. There's no warning label on your water. There's no warning label on the day-to-day things you're exposed to because they're still within the acceptable limits. But if you take things at an acceptable amount and you compound that over time, what does that create?
Problem.
It creates a lot more, right? So rather than dying quickly, you die slowly. And that's what starts happening. So you got to recognize where these are coming from. And don't trust because it says that it's safe that it actually is. You want to understand what's actually going on and what to look for. And we're going to equip you with all those things today. There's over 800 chemicals that are approved for use in regular products that are what's called endocrine disruptors. So what an endocrine disruptor is, it actually affects the hormones in your body, both women and for men. And when your hormone levels start getting out of balance, this creates all kinds of problems. These are linked to cancers, weight gain, infertility issues, all kinds of problems. And it's compounding, and it's around constantly. Some of the main effects of toxicity, when it gets overwhelming, these are the diagnosable issues that we start to see. Now, the important thing to understand is you can't even detect an issue or diagnose it until you've lost 40% or more of function. So symptoms and diagnosis is the latest stage, not early stage. Right? It takes years, maybe decades of this toxic accumulation before you start to notice these types of effects. And I don't know about you, I would rather do what I can ahead of time to prevent as much as possible rather than reacting to the disease process once it shows up. Right? You always have a choice what you choose to do. The more proactive you can be, the better off you're going to be. So let's just look at some of these things. Weak immune system. What have we been dealing with the last couple of years? All about the immune system, all about sickness, right? So do we do everything that we can to avoid sickness, or do we do what we can to strengthen your body so it can actually fight off sickness on its own? Two different ways of looking at it, right? There's the medical way, of treatment and management of disease, and there's the natural way of your body healing itself. And again, you get to choose on what you want to do. Allergies, asthma, seems like everybody has this nowadays. Diabetes, cardiovascular disease, still the #1 cause of death that is over 98% preventable by lifestyle changes. The things we're going to talk about here today, still the top cause of death that we have almost 100% ability to change. ADHD, birth defects, cancer, hormone imbalances, the list goes on and on and on, and this is only some of them. So who here wants to be on this list? Nobody, right? But you probably know at least one person who's been diagnosed with at least one of these things. Can we all agree on that?
Yep.
Yeah. And typically, what are they given when this comes up? They're given a medication. This is a disease that you're stuck with for the rest of your life. There's nothing else that you can do is take these drugs and just suffer and deal with it, right?
Yep.
That's not the real story, right? There's another story that's happening, and you can change that. There's 5 key steps. How many?
5.
5 that we're going to talk about today. I'm glad everyone's paying attention. 5 steps we're going to talk about today. All right, we're going to talk about how to cut out the processed foods and heal your gut, and how much that affects this detoxification process that naturally happens. We're going to go through how to eliminate the toxins from your home, because that's one of the most common places where toxins exist. We're going to go through how to stress less, how to sweat more, and how to improve the health of your body's natural regulatory system, which is your spine and nervous system. So the first one is cutting out processed foods. The standard American diet. And when you look around, we have so much processed and unnatural, unhealthy food, right? Our bodies are designed to function naturally with nutrients that are given around us. And these nutrients have massive healing powers. In fact, human society for hundreds of thousands of years used nutrition as medicine. And they didn't have McDonald's, and they didn't have Cheetos, and they didn't have these other things. They were just given what was natural. But now we have all this chemical-laden processed food that's making us very, very sick. There's over 10,000 chemicals that are approved for use in your food. 10,000 herbicides, pesticides, genetically modified organisms, things that would kill you if you took them on a regular basis, but are allowed in small doses that just kill you over time, right? We want to understand how to avoid these. These are the most common toxic-laden foods. Fried foods, packaged foods, genetically modified foods, artificial colorings, and artificial sweeteners. Now, if you look at the most common diet of what most people eat, how much of this stuff exists within there? Right? Most food comes from a window or in a box. Right? It comes from the convenience store. Right? Because we're all so hurried and we don't have time to make food anymore or go through the natural process of it. So this is what we get as a result of that. And when you look at what happens is the food itself loses its nutrient value. Our soil has been so toxically treated, so over-farmed, that the nutrient density that was once there is no longer available. So our food is already nutrient deficient, even in its more natural type form. And then what about the food that we eat? The animal products, how they're raised. Right? If you look at conventional farming and industrial farming, they're totally different. So industrial raising of animals is highly toxic. They're putting a ton of animals in a very small space. They're highly sick. They're given antibiotics and vaccines. They're given unhealthy type food that's not natural to their development. So these animals become sick, right? And now you're eating these sick animals that were fed all these toxins, and that toxins, they accumulate at a higher level, right? Same thing happens with things like fish. Right? There's certain types of seafood that we try to avoid because of bioaccumulation. So if like little fish eat toxins at the bottom of the ocean, and then a bigger fish eats that fish, and then a bigger fish eats that fish, and then you eat the bigger fish, well, you got an exponential amount of these toxins built up going to the highest degree into you. So that's why it's important to understand what you're eating and getting the right quality things so we can avoid the toxic bioaccumulation that highly exists. Because when you have these things consistently, and you're getting herbicides and pesticides and genetically modified organisms and overuse of medications over the counter and prescribed and vaccines and stress, well, it starts to damage your body's natural systems. Number one being the gut. Your gut is supposed to be a closed system from beginning to end. The gut is amazing in what it does. It has this natural environment called a microbiome of different types of bacteria that are good for us. Your gut breaks down and assimilates nutrients from the food that you eat. It takes all the waste and stuff that's not supposed to be there and eliminates it out of your body. It also produces different types of vitamins and minerals in your body. It produces essential fatty acids. It also affects your immune system and your mood. It affects what's called your neurotransmitters, things like serotonin and dopamine that help with your sleep and your energy and your focus. All these things are happening with the gut. So if this gut starts getting damaged from all these toxins, well, you get what's called leaky gut syndrome. Has anybody ever heard of this before?
Yep.
Yeah. 10, 20 years ago, almost nobody had heard of this. Now, it's common. People are like, yeah, I understand what that is, and I probably got one of these. How many people do you know now that has digestive problems, irritable bowel type issues? How many people have autoimmune disorders and they don't know why, undiagnosed, and they're just treating the effects of that? How many people have depression and anxiety? Hundreds of millions of mood-altering medications are prescribed every single year, not addressing the cause, hopefully at best managing symptoms. Skin problems, headaches and migraines, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. Again, 10, 20 years ago, nobody had fibromyalgia. Now, all kinds of people have it, right? And it's not that these diseases became more prevalent, it's that the stresses that cause them became more prevalent. And less people were equipped on what to do to change that. And that's what we're focusing on. So the key is to get on a regular nutrition plan that you can stick with. Not some kind of diet. Nobody loves diet. Who loves diets? I can't wait to get on this diet. When you think of it as restrictive, when you think of it as something that is limiting you from living your life, it's not that fun. You can do it for a period of time, but it's not sustainable. And our goal is to create sustainability. It's not about a short-term quick fix. That does not exist. It's about creating a long-term plan for living well. And that's what these nutrition plans are. Consistently eating the right types of foods. Foods that our bodies need, like healthy fats. Healthy fats that are abundant in the forms of avocados and coconut and olive oil and nuts and seeds and quality animal type products. These are around and in abundance as long as you know what to look for. And this is what gives us a primary form of energy. This is what makes up your brain and nervous system. It's what protects your organs. It's what makes up your cell membranes and actually allows your cells to allow nutrients in and toxins to come out. This is all based upon fats. So if we're not getting the right types of fats or we're deficient in fat, we're creating all kinds of problems within the body. We want to make sure if you are getting animal products that it's in the most natural form. What animals are supposed to do. Cows are supposed to graze in pastures and eat grass. That's how they were designed in nature. That's how God created them. And when they do that, they're very healthy. And they have high omega-3 fatty acids. And they have quality proteins and vitamins and minerals and nutrients that our bodies need and crave. And their dairy products are healthy, right? When you get eggs and poultry and they're roaming around eating their normal foods, well, all kinds of healthy things come from that. When you're getting fish that are wild in the ocean, eating what they're supposed to eat, which creates the nutrient value, well, you're getting that nutrient value into yourself. So it's important to get things from their most natural source that are not chemically altered, which means organic, pasture-raised, grass-fed, wild-caught, all the best forms, which may cost a little bit more at that time, but it's going to save you so much more later on, right? What is the cost of disease? What is the cost of sickness? What is the cost of medical bills? What is the cost of dying early or losing a loved one, right? There is no amount of money that can make up that loss. Right? If you could tell somebody you could have added 5 years or 10 years to your life or prevented this at the end, would you have spent an extra $200 a month on your nutrition? They would have said, absolutely, right? Without a doubt, we could have found that money. It does exist. It's not radically more expensive. It's not thousands. It's maybe hundreds. And that investment in yourself will save you so much more later on, plus will give you a better quality of life now. So think of everything you spend on your health as an investment, not a cost, right? Everything that damages your health, well, that's a cost, right? When you start to look at things this way, you'll realize where you can actually save a ton of money. Because being healthy saves you tens, if not hundreds of thousands over the course of your lifetime. Now, there's a more advanced form called the advanced plan. Most people don't have to be on the advanced plan forever. This is more of a shorter term plan to get you through a tougher spot. So if you're trying to overcome a health issue, gain back energy, lose weight, whatever that may be, the advanced plan probably will work better for you. The goal of the advanced plan is to remove all forms of stress through your nutrition so your body has the opportunity to heal, right? It's like if you sprain your ankle and you're running on it every day. It's going to be really hard for it to heal. It may heal eventually, but it's going to take some time. You may have some re-injury along the way. You may have some issues. If you have insults that's affecting your body from your nutrition and you keep putting it in, it's harder for your body to heal. Right? So for a period of time, we got to regulate your blood sugar. Well, we want to decrease sugar. If you have a problem with certain types of foods that cause damage to your gut and needs to heal, well, we want to eliminate those foods for a little while to allow things to heal and get back to a normal function and then slowly add them back in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So again, this isn't a diet. It's not meant to be restrictive. It's meant to reduce enough of the stress and interference to allow your body to heal while we're supporting that along the way. So that way it gets back to a healthy state and functions normally, and we can add those good things back in. It doesn't mean going back to beer and pizza every day or McDonald's every other day, right? That's just going to reinsult and recause the issue. The goal is, as things get better, we continue to institute healthy habits so we're not recreating the issue. And that's the 5 essentials model. And that's our goal for everybody, is that these principles are lifetime principles, not short-term principles. There's also foods that are out there that are designed to help with detox process, that actually aid in healing the gut. These aren't always everybody's favorites, but many of them are very delicious, and you want to really have a diversity. A diversity in nutrition is very important, and eating with the seasons is also important. There's different types of foods that are more readily available in different seasons of the year. And we live in a great place in the world where most people actually get their food from here, so we have readily available food in all different seasons. That's why it's good to go to farmers markets and look for places that have more locally raised type foods, rather than getting a food that's hundreds or thousands away that had to be preserved and brought all the way over here versus, well, we can get that from our own backyard. That's always going to be the best. And having a diversity gives your body different nutrients and minerals and enzymes that it needs to really function optimally. So these are some of the things that are best for your gut and for detoxing. Mostly cruciferous vegetables: garlic, onions, watercress, broccoli, cauliflower, right? All those ones that your mom said eat a lot of when you were a kid are actually very good for you. Cultured foods are very good for you as well. Things like kefir and sauerkraut and yogurts in their primary form. You don't want to get the key lime pie little Yoplait yogurt that has 40 grams of sugar, but you do want to get the organic, pasture-raised Greek yogurt that has 4 grams of sugar and 20 grams of quality proteins. Right now we're getting the good fermented foods that actually feeds this healthy gut microbiome. And when you have this biodiversity, well, your gut's very strong and very powerful and can do all kinds of things to support your health and natural function. That's why we get these in. Also things like bone broth. Bone broth has always been a healing food for a long time because it has collagen, it has certain types of proteins and peptides that your body needs for healing, especially for your gut. When you get bone broth in consistently, it helps repair the damage to your gut lining and actually helps your gut function better. So that's why we use the bone broth protein, because it's one of the easiest sources to get that in every single day. There's also a process of repairing damage to your gut. Sometimes we have an insult so extensive that your gut isn't gonna just repair on its own, and it needs a little bit extra help. Right? This could be if you had any type of antibiotics, if you're consistently taking medications, if you've had vaccines within the last couple of years. All these things damage your gut to the point where it's no longer gonna be able to repair itself. So you have to go through the process of restoring the gut, and there's 3 specific steps to do that. Number 1 is reconditioning. So when things go in and they kill off your normal bacteria, this is a bad thing, right? We don't want that. You got to repopulate it. And there's a huge diversity what's necessary, and most supplements, most foods don't have the diversity that's necessary to effectively repopulate the gut. So you want to make sure you're getting the right types of things through what we use is what's called a spore biotic. So your gut microbiome is actually the very lowest area of your gut. Most things that come in die along the way. They die in your stomach, they die as they get digested. So by the time they actually get to your lower area where it needs to proliferate, well, it's not even there anymore, right? So most of it is wasted along the way. So by using a spore biotic, it's in a protected form that actually goes all the way down to where it needs to, and then it opens up. And what it does as you start to create new healthy bacteria, it actually crowds out the bad overgrowth bacteria that we don't want that happens in there. Right? These are things like SIBO, overgrowth, right? Bloating and painful digestion. That's because you have too much of the bad bacteria that was allowed to take over because the good stuff wasn't there. Right? So we want to make sure that we crowd out the bad bacteria, regrow the good bacteria, and allow your gut to do what it's supposed to do. Right? Bring your team back in there. And this can take some time. A lot of times people they'll do a round of antibiotics, so they'll have a gut problem, like, well, yeah, I took probiotics for like a couple of weeks or a month. It could take up to 2 years to repair even 1 round of antibiotics. And this is the same if you use the antibacterial soap. This is if you use that antibacterial spray that everybody used to put on their hands over the last couple of years, right? We did everything possible to weaken and drain our immune system, and you wonder why so many people are sick, right? You want to support that. You don't need those things. Your body's designed to get rid of bacteria on its own, as long as it's working in a healthy form. And then the second phase is reinforcing. So reinforcing, now we're feeding it. This is a prebiotic. So prebiotic foods actually feed the good bacteria so they can continue to thrive and continues to push out. So this is like the example of if you were regrowing your lawn, right? There's a bunch of dead spots in there. You can only water the dead spots so long. You can give it a bunch of sunlight, it's not going to grow. It's dead. But if you put new seeds in there, well, now the potential to grow is there. But what does it need? It needs fertilizer. It needs nutrition. It needs sunlight. It needs water. Well, that's what the reinforced phase does. Now that we're replanting all this good bacteria, we want to help it grow. And that's what the prebiotic phase does. And then the last phase is to rebuild the intestinal mucosa. This is how you get rid of the leaky gut problems. And this company, Microbiome Labs, has studied it to the point where they get an over 80% improvement in leaky gut problems in just 90 days. It's amazing. This is the process of restoring your gut. And then we add in all the good things and we don't recreate the problem. And now you have a gut that's designed to do what it needs to do. That's this 90-day protocol right here. I've done this myself. We've walked a lot of patients through it. It's a great way to restore gut function. So if gut health is a problem for you, this is one of the things that you want to look at doing. All right, this is a way to get your gut back to a healthy state in just the next couple of months. When it comes to supplements, this is really important because I see a lot of people taking a lot of things. And there's a lot of marketing and a lot of misinformation out there. And it's not very well regulated. In fact, there's very limited regulation of supplements. And there's a huge disparity of quality from one to the next. Right? Probiotics, for example, of certain vitamin or nutrient or multivitamin, there's such a huge difference from one to the other. And it's typically the ones that are the most highly marketed that are the worst for you. In fact, a lot of vitamin companies are owned by pharmaceutical companies. And the ones that are owned by the pharmaceutical companies are the lowest quality that actually can cause stress to your normal system, can cause damage to your kidneys, can cause damage to your gut because they're not in their natural form. So the cheapest, most highly marketed one, you can pretty much assume is the worst one for you. The ones that we use here aren't even available at the store. They're available for practitioners only and in a small degree because that way they can control the quality, they control where it comes from, right? So that's what the stuff that we use here, it's the stuff that I use, the stuff that we've researched, and we know that it works. That's why we have that in there. And one of the things that's key for gut health and for detoxing is bone broth, the bone broth protein. A lot of proteins are highly damaged out there. There's so many protein supplements. Most of them are using artificial sweeteners. They're using genetically modified products. They're using dairy in the form of whey that was not pasture-raised, organic, grass-fed. It was standard dairy. And now they're putting it in this form, and it's marketed to you as a healthy thing when it's not. It's highly unhealthy and could be the thing that's actually causing damage to your health, even though you were told it was good. Because you saw it at GNC or your trainer said, go get this protein, right? This is a form that doesn't have any of that in it. I use this in my coffee consistently. I use it in shakes all the time. You can use it as hot chocolate. There's all different ways to use it that's easy to do. Just 1 scoop a day is repairing your gut. It's getting you easy proteins and it keeps you going. And when you do that consistently, well, now your body has what it needs to be able to thrive. There's also specific types of nutrients that are very healthy for your detox systems. These are some of the most common ones. Magnesium oxide, chlorella, which is really high in plant products. It's what gives it that beautiful green type color. Superoxide dismutase, psyllium husk, activated charcoal. A lot of people have likely heard of activated charcoal and the health benefits that go along with that. And then protein. So when you look at these types of things, these are not always readily available in our daily diet. And if you took all these individually as supplements, now we're taking, 5, 6 different things, that can become quite a bit, right? We don't want to be taking handfuls and handfuls of pills every single day, even if they're healthier for you. The goal is to take the least amount possible that provides the most highly beneficial results. And that's what the Max Living Detox System does. So all those things that were just listed, other than the protein, are included in this detox system. And what's cool about this is not only is it detoxing and cleansing out not just the liver or your digestive system, but the cells of your body. Because that's what we're really targeting. Because you have cells that are part of every system in your body. If we can get to all the cells, we're having a much greater effect. Versus if I just did a gallbladder cleanse, or just did a liver cleanse, or just did a kidney type cleanse, right? We're working on one system, which is great. But if you want to get a more systemic effect, that's what the detox system does. Now it's working on all the different cells. And because we are bombarded by toxins so commonly, I recommend people do this at least every 90 days. If you can go ahead and cleanse your body at least every 90 days, it's the same as changing your oil, changing out your air filters. Those aren't designed to last forever. You don't change your oil once and never change it again, right? It gets dirty, right? You have an air filter at home, you don't never change the filter, because what happens when you look at it? It's like this thick of dust, it's black. Like, do you think it's really working? If you're not detoxing your body, that's what your liver looks like. It's black, it's full, it's overwhelmed, it's not doing its job. We got to cleanse it out. We got to change the filter. That's what a detox system does. It changes the filter. And that's why you want to do it consistently, not just once. Oh, I did that cleanse 5 years ago. It was great. Well, it's time to do another one, right? You consistently do it. And when you do it consistently, well, that's when things are equipped. And so now when you come in contact with the toxin, when you come in contact with the virus, when you come in contact with it's smoky outside or the allergy season's coming up, well, instead of having an overwhelming amount of symptoms, now your body's equipped to do what it needs to do. And you don't feel anything at all. That's the goal. All these things are happening around you, no change in your daily physiology. There's a lot going on the inside. Your body's working hard to do what it needs to do, but you don't notice the difference. That's what a healthy body does. And that's our goal of where we want to be able to be. That's why this detox system is so amazing, because it's going through and it's doing both, through the cell detox and the body detox. And it's only 30 days. You can do it in as little as 2 weeks if you just double it up. If you've done this multiple times before, if it's been a while, you can do it as long as 2 months by doing half the amount that's said to be going on in there. So we have this Terminate Toxins bundle that's available for everyone here today that includes the bone broth and includes the detox system. Because when you're doing both those two things, we're fully equipping and detoxing your body. And it's not only detoxing, it's actually strengthening your natural detox pathways so the systems work better on their own moving forward, and your body's doing its job to terminate toxins on its own. And this is 15% off today, like Jim said. You get an extra discount for being here as a bonus, and there's no limit to what you can get. There's a limit to what we have here today, but there's no limit to what you can get in order at that discount. So I encourage you to take advantage of that, get the resources that you need, right? We talked about taking action, understanding that detox is a good idea and not doing anything. Is that going to change your results? Nope, it's going to be the same. Understanding that it's important, taking the action and making the investment in yourself, that's how you get better. That's why you have those resources available for you. The next one is check your home. So there's some great resources in your packet here. Everybody got their packets? So the first page says top 22 toxins you may be exposed to. Rather than go through all of them and frantically write them down real quick, we got them right here. That's one of the benefits of being at the event, is you actually get the resources to take home. So these tell you what are the top toxins and where can you typically find them, right? You find fluoride in your toothpaste or in water. You find formaldehyde in air fresheners and e-cigarettes and certain types of clothes, where parabens may be found. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's right there for you. We also have some cleaning supplies makeover, and there's little QR codes. Does everybody know how to use a QR code?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically you take out your phone and you're going to take a picture, and then it scans the QR code and brings up a website. So we commonly use a company called the Environmental Working Group. They do extensive research to understand what's toxic, what's not. They have cool little apps for your phone. They have a whole website where you can actually scan different products and find out what's the toxic level and whether it's good or bad or so or along the line. So I encourage you to take this information that you have. One of your potential action steps is go home and scan your products and see where they actually are, right? This is a good home test. So this one specifically talks about cleaning supplies, things like feminine products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, face wash, perfumes. It gives you some non-toxic alternatives. These are not the only ones, but there's some good recommendations here. One of them is doTERRA. We actually use a lot of doTERRA products ourselves, and we have Tara here who's a doTERRA representative, so if you want to learn more about that, you can talk to her about it. But it's like we use the doTERRA toothpaste, we use the doTERRA shampoo, we use essential oils, all kinds of stuff. And it works great. Not only is it a great product, but it's also non-toxic, and you know that you're getting the quality stuff. So I encourage you to use this list There's also some other ones here as well, Beauty Counter, Crunchy, Vitacos, Secure, that have these types of products. And you can likely find some of these also at Whole Foods or Sprouts, sometimes at Costco. They are available. We're going to go through the different rooms here as we go through, and it's going to walk you through this as well. So there's a couple other resources. One of the biggest sources of toxicity in the home is air quality. They've shown that the inside of your house can be anywhere from 5 to 200 times more toxic outside. And what have we been doing the last few months? Inside, with the windows closed. It's cold, it's raining. Your house hasn't likely been cleared out for a while. So now that it's better weather, here's some things that you can do is ventilate regularly. Open the windows, open the doors, allow some fresh air in, right? You need this fresh air. Now is also a really good time to go in and change out all those filters that you have in the ceiling, change out your air filter, change out all that stuff. You even have a little filter in your car that you can change out. That's consistently detoxifying. That's pretty easy to change. These are key, right? If you don't look at those things, trust me, take them out and they are nasty. They got like 2 inches thick of dust. They got all kinds of crap in there. You don't want that. Houseplants. There's a lot of houseplants that you can get that are naturally detoxifying, right? Getting these consistently in your house is really important. Change out those filters. Change out the HVAC regularly. If you don't have a house filter, get one. Especially if you have issues with breathing or allergens, get one in the rooms that you're in most commonly. If that's the living room or your bedroom, these air filters are amazing and relatively inexpensive. It's a great way to cleanse out the toxicity in the air. Water's another big one. Water's huge. Water is so toxically laden. Number one is your drinking water. So most people understand that I should probably get higher quality drinking water, which doesn't mean bottled water, it means filtered water. Now there's varying levels. There's like the simple Brita, which is basically a charcoal filter. There's the one that's in your fridge that nobody replaces, that little light is on, because it probably haven't changed it since you got it, however many years ago that might have been. So that's not your best source, but there's all kinds of different water filters. We use a Kangen water filter at our house. It filters out all the toxins. It also has some healthier benefits for ionizing the water and hydrating it, so it has more health effects on your body. But there's other forms that are really good too. But the key is to get a quality one, at least for your drinking water, because that's the water that you cook with, that's the water that you consume on the most regular basis, and there's so many wide uses of that. Another one is a shower filter. So a lot of people don't think about this one. They're like, well, I have a great water filter, but what about your shower? On average, you use about 25 gallons of water when you take a shower. 75% of that gets repelled. The problem is when it's warm especially, you start to get it to turn into more of like a gas. And this can get absorbed through your skin. Things like chlorine and other toxins that are in the water, now you're taking this in. The equivalent of one shower is like 8 glasses of water. So if you drink filtered water, but you don't use a shower filter, well, you might as well just be drinking regular sink water, because that's what you're getting. All the toxins that come from that water are coming into you. And all our city water, no matter what city you live in, has toxicity, guaranteed. There's an allowable amount that's okay. Chlorine, medications, lead, heavy metals, fluoride, it's all in there. You can actually look it up online and look at your county or your city, and it'll tell you the toxic levels that are allowed and are in your water, and it's not good. So getting a shower filter is very inexpensive. You can get one for as little as like 30 bucks. Aquasan is a good source. There's other ones too. And when you get those, you just put them right on, good to go. And you want to change those every couple of years as well, but that's a good, easy one to do. The highest level is a whole house system. Now this is definitely more expensive, right? This could be for like $5,000, $10+ thousand. But if you do get a whole house system, it's the highest level you can get because it's filtering out your entire house. And every source of water that you use, from washing your clothes to what you drink, to your sinks, to your shower, is all filtered amazing water. So that's really the highest level you can get to. Another big one, in fact, probably one of the highest forms of toxicity, is medications. And we don't always think about this one as well. We've all seen those commercials on TV for the drug ads, right? What's the last 20, 30 seconds every time?
The side effects.
It's all the side effects, right? It's all the ways it's going to kill you, all the ways it's going to make you sick.
Yep.
There's an average of 70 per pill if you're taking just one. And then the more you take, the worse it gets. They're all compounding. So the more medications you're on, the more toxicity you're taking in on a consistent basis. Now there's a lot of things that we can just buy at the store that people regularly take and they think is normal. Allegra, ibuprofen, Advil, Excedrin, antacid, all these types of things. No big deal. It's just normal. It's safe, right? It's at the store. Small levels are okay for me. But every one of these is causing damage to your gut, to your immune system, to your digestive system, to your detox organs. And the more you take, the worse it gets. One of the worst is these NSAIDs here. These are commonly taken because a lot of people are in pain. It's very common. Nobody likes to live in pain. It's uncomfortable. So there's many things that are marketed to us that we can take to minimize or cover up that pain. Well, these things are not safe. In fact, over 100,000 people a year are hospitalized from simple over-the-counter pain medication. And not people who overdosed. They didn't take the whole bottle. They took the recommended amount, and it landed them in the hospital over time, right? There's about 16,000 people a year plus that are attributed deaths from this, right? So you think it's safe, but it's really not. But there's a warning label on there too. It's in like size 2 font, but if you go look at it, it's pretty big. Right? When you go pick up a prescription at the pharmacist's office, what do? They put you in that little line where you go talk to the pharmacist, and he or she will list out, well, here's all the side effects and all things you're not supposed to do and all things you're supposed to watch out for because these are highly toxic for you. Now, I understand there's times when people need those things, and sometimes through an acute situation, it's important. So don't go home and throw away all your medications and say that, my chiropractor said I don't take these anymore. But the goal is to minimize those, right? To use them as little as possible for their intended use, not to live off them or rely on them to manage the symptoms or effects of a bigger problem of which the cause has never been addressed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's so key to understand right there, right? They all have their place and sometimes can be life-saving, but it's not meant to be long-term, right? It's not meant to be a lifestyle where you're taking these drugs for the rest of your life. That there is not normal, and it always causes damage and is the highest form of toxicity that you can have. Now there's 3 areas that we want to look at that'll have the biggest effect on your in-home environment. Your bathroom, your laundry room, and your kitchen. So these here, they go through those. So you got your bathroom makeover, laundry detergent, cleaners, dishwash soap, bathroom cleaner. So look through this list, scan the QR code. It'll help you understand what those are. There's also the pantry and home makeover, right? This is pretty cool. Go through and look and ask yourself, does it have things artificial? Does it have preservatives? Does it have extra sugar? Look in your cabinets. If you have a bunch of toxic plastic containers, you still have a bunch of old scuffed off Teflon pans that are in there. Right? Go through and look at these different areas. Right? This is part of your homework, is look through your cupboards, look through your pantry, look through your fridge, so that way you know where you are. And we're going to walk through each of these areas so you know where to look. So the bathroom, what do we have on the wall there with that mirrored cabinet? The medicine cabinet, right? That's the first place you want to look. If anything in there isn't something that you need to rely on to live today, I encourage you to get rid of it. Anything that's symptom-based, the antacid, the ibuprofen, the Excedrin, all those things that are just managing your day-to-day symptoms, I encourage you to let those go, and let's start work on solving why that's happening and getting you better. That's number 1. Then you look at all your cleaners, and that's what's on that list. Go through and scan what you have. Use the EWG, look at the list, and if you're seeing all those things showing up on there, you know it's time to replace it. Throw it out, go get a new one. You could change out your entire bathroom and spend less than $100. It's very inexpensive to be able to do it, and it's gonna change your life. Face wash, soap, cosmetics, that may cost a little bit more for you ladies, so you can do that one over time. But the rest of these are very inexpensive and easy to do. So what about the kitchen? Well, we got all the cleaners, the 409, the Clorox, the bleach, all that stuff. Now, if you look at those chemicals, what do they all say on there? Do not consume, call poison control immediately if your child has some of it, right? Well, what does it happen if you spray it on the counter and that's where you eat your food? Or if that's what you're cleaning your dishes with that you eat off of, or that's what you're cleaning your hands with, right? Again, a little bit over time causes a big problem. So we don't want that. Let's get rid of all those things. There are natural alternatives that work just as well, that you can use at home for relatively the same cost. Also look at your pots and pans. This is really important too. So you want to use glass products to store your food, because plastic leaches toxins into your food consistently. They have BPAs, they have parabens, they have all kinds of other stuff. You want to look at your glassware. You want to look at the types of things that you cook in, right? You don't want to use Teflon, because Teflon is highly, highly toxic to your body, very difficult to get out. So use things like stainless steel. They have all these new ceramic ones that you can use now. They have the old cast iron stuff, even those are kind of hard to use, but they're available, right? And again, not that expensive to change all these things out and do it consistently, because what you're cooking with and what you're storing food in has a lot to do with what goes into the food itself. And then your laundry room, the types of detergents that you use, the stain removers, the bleaches. We've been using Norwex products. Is anybody familiar with that? Norwex is amazing. They have these different types of towels that all you got to use is water, because it has colloidal silver in it. So no more cleaning products. In fact, it's saving you a ton of money. You buy them once and use them over and over again. We use them for glass, we use them for the counters, we use them for the stove. You can even use them for like your body, your face and whatnot. Amazing. They work so well too. I'm so surprised how good it actually works. And you just use water, that's it. And we use it for our laundry detergent. And again, these are just great alternatives. Even the dishwasher soap, it's like comes out cleaner than we've ever used before. And you don't get that nasty like woof of gas when you open it. So these alternatives, they exist. They're around us all the time, right? They're easy to use. You just got to know what to look for. And once things are working better for you and you have good, healthy habits, well, you're not going to be as stressed, right? Because stress is another big one. When your body's overwhelmed with stress from your daily life, it's going to affect these pathways too. Because under stress, your body's in fight or flight mode. When you're in fight or flight mode, well, your digestive system's not really working so well. Your immune system gets shut off. All these beneficial organs, they get put on hold. Now that's supposed to be a short-term thing. If that's for 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes when you got to go into survival mode, that's okay. And then your body naturally should go back into its normal rhythm of rest and digest and function and health. But what happens now? We're constantly under stress. Pressure from everything. It's all around us. So the goal isn't to just stress about stressing less, because that's not helping either. The whole idea of stress management, we don't want to manage a bad thing. We want to work on peace management. How do we create more peace and tranquility and excitement in our lives? So that's the number one, is eliminating the stress as a toxin. That's the number one. Thoughts, traumas, toxins. Your thoughts can be a toxin, so that's why it's important to have some healthy habits that improve this. When you're stressed consistently, it affects the rhythms of your body, including sleep. When you're stressed consistently and you're not getting good sleep, it affects what's called your neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemicals produced by different parts of your body that regulate your mood. So we talked at the beginning, what's one of the biggest issues? Depression, anxiety, all kinds of issues, fatigue, brain fog. Well, this is related to serotonin and dopamine. So serotonin, this affects sleeping, eating, digestion. Dopamine, motivation, productivity, and focus. How nice would it be to sleep restfully, wake up energized, be hyper-focused, be happy and fulfilled all your days? This doesn't have to come from a pill or some type of a substance. This is produced naturally from your body in the right type of state. That's why it's important to take care of your brain and nervous system and to support the healthy functions of your body. They've proven this over and over again, right? They know that just by exercising and having a healthy diet, you can change anxiety, depression more effectively than any medication that's ever been existed, with no side effects, except better energy, better sleep, better health, less weight gain, all kinds of good stuff, right? But what's on the other end? You take a depression medication, what's the number one symptom? Depression, suicide, suicidal thoughts, anger, all kinds of stuff. And if you ever know anybody or you yourself have taken that, you're not yourself. You're a different person, because you're chemically altering your brain in a negative way, and that's not normal. Anytime you chemically alter something in an artificial way, there will be runoff side effects. Always, no matter what. So you got to be careful what you're doing. This is a very cool sleep restorative protocol I was introduced to a few years back. If sleep is an issue for you, here's some habits that can help improve that. Number one, before you go to bed, do some journaling. Journaling about what you're looking forward to the next day, what challenges came up today, what went well today, or just anything. Get into the habit of doing this consistently. Read a book, like a real book. That's paper. They still make those. Paper book.
You have one.
I have lots of books. You can read a book for entertainment. You can read a book on personal development. You can read a book on health, whatever it may be. Get in the habit of doing this, and then pick a consistent bedtime. I've been tracking my sleep for a while now, and I've found that there's rhythms of sleep that your body needs. It's different for all of us, but there's a pretty consistent rhythm that works for most people, which is about 10 to 5 is the most common area of sleep rhythm where you're going to get the most restorative sleep. This is called your circadian rhythm. Make sure your room is dark. You can use eye shades. Try to avoid a lot of ambient lights, all the blue lights, all those kinds of things. And also try to avoid devices in your room. Wi-Fi, TVs, computers, cell phones, all these actually interrupt your sleep patterns and your nervous system in a negative way. That's on the don't list. Don't use a lot of lights in your room. Don't use night lights as much as possible. Don't watch TV or leave the TV on when you're going to sleep because that's disrupting your sleep. You go through a REM cycle about every 90 days where your eyes actually open a little bit. If there's light, your brain thinks it's time to wake up. And you actually are awake. Whether you feel like you're physically awake, mentally you're awake, and you get taken out of that good, healthy, deep sleep, and you're more just like a light, non-restorative sleep. So you could sleep for a long time, but not get good sleep. And that's just as bad as not sleeping. It's the restorative deep sleep that your body needs, and if these things are happening, that's not happening. If you're on your phone before you go to bed, if you're looking at your clock all the time and stressed about it, it's going to interfere with it. So for 21 days, try this out if sleep is an issue for you. And you will see that you start getting more restful sleep. Don't do it for one night and say it didn't work. Try it for a little while, right? And 21 days is 21 days. It's not like Monday through Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not good. And then Monday through Thursday is good again. And then horrible again on the weekend. And again, why is it not working? Consistency. Get into good habits. And practice peaceful habits. This is a really good thing to do as well. Take walks regularly in nature. Now, if the weather's a little bit better, now is a key time. Just being in nature has a physiological effect on us in a very positive way. So we're designed to be in nature, right? We live now in like the human zoo, basically, which is not normal, right? There's a reason why most animals don't thrive in the zoos, because they're not in their natural environment. Cities are the human zoo, and unfortunately that's just where we are now. We can't all live in nature and everything else like that, but you can get outside and go for a walk, and you can do this consistently. You can do things like journaling, that's why that's on the list. Reading, quality time with family, a lot of healthy benefits from meditation, breath work, exercise is another good one. And what we want to do is a lot less of technology. Technology is a major stress, not just the stress of the device itself and the Wi-Fi and the electromagnetic frequencies and all these other things, which are also bad, but just the thought of it. Because when you look at what's going on most of the time, now this isn't everybody, but it's very easy to get stuck on social media, look at the highlight reel or all the bad things going on in the world. You can flip on your computer or your TV and hear about all the negative things that's happening, all the stressful events, what's happening in this part of the world or this part of the world, all the fear and the anxiety and the control and the propaganda, all the things that are going on all the time. That's messing with your stress, right? You could be stressed 24 hours a day, just turn the news on, no problem. Constantly stressed. So I encourage you, create barriers around technology, right? Have times of the day where you put your phone aside. Maybe you get home and you put it down for a few hours. Not before you go to bed, not when you wake up first thing in the morning, right? Don't wake up and flip on that email and look at all the 50 things you got to do today. Give yourself some time first. Be present in the things that you do. Quality of time is so much more important than quantity of time. A lot of us are busy, and a lot of people want things from us many times. If you can really create quality present time, not on your phone, not behind a screen, not distracted, you can actually create much better experiences in your life. So I encourage you to try this out. Set barriers for you and your family around device use, so that way you can have more present quality of time and see how much it affects your mood in a positive way, right? Just turning off Facebook for a week See how much that affects your mood and how you think about things going on around you. That's another big challenge we can do. Then we want to get our bodies moving. The largest organ in your body, and the biggest detox organ, is your skin. Your skin is an organ itself. And your skin is designed to allow good things in and allow bad things to come out. And sweat is one of those. Sweat allows toxins to get out of your body in a big way. It's why sauna is so beneficial, why it's so beneficial to go and exercise and get your body moving. There's also benefits of exercise, and I think we all know that exercising is more beneficial than that. However, there's a high segment of our society that does not exercise, and we'd be considered sedentary, which means zero exercise. In fact, about 60% of Americans are considered sedentary, where they don't exercise at all. Like zero. Now, I've exercised my whole life, so that seems abnormal to me. But for a lot of people, that's not. And if you look at how our kids are growing up now, are they exercising and moving more or less than before?
Way less.
Way less, right? PE is like maybe once or twice a week, and they're hating it and trying to hide in the corner on their phone is the goal. That needs to change. And if that doesn't change, we're going to see more and more of what we're already seeing, right? What are most jobs now? Working from home, working inside, working behind a desk. I can tell you, the person who works at home on their laptop has more stress and worse outcomes than the construction worker working in 100-degree heat, or a firefighter that's going into these crazy fires and putting their body in a total stress mode consistently. That person sitting there on their computer has worse health outcomes than the person that's actively moving, even though it may be physically demanding, hard on the body, stressful, in the elements. That person still has less issues than the office desk worker. Where did everybody go over these last couple of years? Working from home, working remote, working behind that computer, Zoom meetings versus in-person meetings. We've totally gone from like a personal society to a screen, technology-laden society. And that's not good. That's not how we're designed. It's not how our brains and how our bodies work. And you're seeing the fallout of this. Right? And it's only going to get worse over time unless we start moving. So that's the key. There's all different types of movement. And no one is better than the other. So I encourage you all to find an activity that you enjoy and do it consistently. Right? Some people really like to lift weights. Some people like to exercise. Some people like to go on walks. People like to play pickleball, or they like to play golf, or whatever it is. Just find something that you do, ideally outdoors some of the time, where it moves, and at least hard enough a few days a week to where you're sweating. That's the key. Get your heart rate up, get your body moving, get the benefits of what goes along with exercise. There are a lot of high intensity, short duration exercise, which are kind of like cheat codes to working out, where you work out a lot harder for a shorter period of time, which would be considered a form of biohacking. You see all these things out now, cold plunges and different types of things where people are putting their body in extreme situations and they're getting health benefits from it. Exercise can be the same way. You can really push yourself hard through a certain level of exercise that actually stimulates a lot of healing in your body. Cardiovascular effects, metabolic effects, growth hormone, neurotransmitters, all these great things happening. You don't got to totally destroy yourself every day, but you can do it a few days a week. You can challenge yourself a little bit, right? Get back into it, work hard, and at any age, you can do this. At any fitness level, you can do this. Because one person, it may take a severe amount of exercise to do it. For some person who doesn't work out that much, it may take just going up and down the stairs. Could be hard enough to get your heart rate up high enough to where you're in this healthy range. So it's different. Don't judge yourself on what other people are doing. Focus on your capability. And that's the goal, is to be better than yourself, not to be like somebody else, right? We a lot of times compare ourselves to others or our ideal state, what we think we should be. But that's not really it. Just because you could do that 20 years ago and you can't do it now doesn't mean you suck. It just means you're at a different phase in your life. And it's time to realize, like, well, maybe my new level is here. Maybe I could get back up to here again, and don't limit yourself, but also understand that my goal is to be better than yesterday, not like I was once before, or like my friend over here, or like this person, or why can't I do that, right? You're not them, you're you. And you're not old you, right? The goal is to have the hero of your life be your future you, who's living their best life and always working on being better. And when you do that, that's when you can make progress. And that's motivating, and that keeps you moving forward. So find your routine. Find other people that you do it with, because you're more likely to do it. And have a plan where you actually schedule it in. How many times have you said, oh, I'm going to work out today, but it's not on the schedule, you don't have a plan, what happens?
Falls apart.
You don't do it, right? You got busy, something else came up, you get home, you're tired, whatever it is, it just doesn't happen. And this happens to all of us all the time. But I can tell you, if you have a plan, you have it scheduled, and especially if you're doing it with someone else or a group, you're much more likely to show up. Because you don't want to let other people down less than you don't want to let yourself down. Right? So if you know you're meeting a friend at the gym at 9 o'clock, you're probably going to show up at 9. But if you're just like, well, I think I'm going to go to the gym today, you're probably not. Right? It's very limited. So set yourself up for success. Have a plan, schedule it, and then have other people help hold you accountable because you're helping them too. Because they're also going to show up because of you. And you're both going to do better work together because as a group, you can do more than you can individually. So this is part of your routine, is find other people like you, good, healthy circles. If you're trying to be a fit person, you don't want to hang out with the person who doesn't exercise and doesn't want to do good things. If you're trying to drink less, you don't want to hang out with your drinking buddy that goes out and drinks every night, right? If you're trying to eat better food, you don't want to hang out with your friend that eats pizzas and donut every day. It's just not successful. You are like the people you spend the most time with. So maybe your action step is upping your circle of people that you spend the most time with. Now, it doesn't mean eliminate people, but may mean spending less time with the people that are not on the same journey as you if you want to do something differently. Or help bring them up to your level. That's why I encourage people to bring guests to events and share what you're learning, because it's also possible to not say, well, you're doing this and just write you off, but hey, I've been doing this that I think you could benefit from. Would you like to come check it out? Would you want to go to the gym with me? Hey, let's try this new food or this new thing. Hey, come to this class or this dinner with me so you can learn about what I'm doing, and maybe you potentially save their life as a result of that, versus just giving up on them and say, well, you're not like me, so I'm just going to let you go. There's an opportunity where you can actually lift people up, which is going to make you even better, right? Reinforce the things that you're doing, and now they're looking at you, so you're going to hold yourself to a higher level of accountability. Number 5, last but not least, taking care of the system that takes care of you. This is so key, and this is a big missing component for a lot of people. That's taking care of your spine. Because your spine isn't just what holds you up or moves you around. It's not just the bones of your back. Your spine actually regulates your brain and your nervous system. This is so key because it's the brain and the nervous system that regulates function in your body, including detox systems. All the different nerves travel through your spine and out to your body. These regulate your muscles, what you feel, and how you move. They regulate your autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is your blood pressure, your heart rate, your respiration, your digestive system, your immune function. All of these are regulated by your nervous system. And then it regulates the different cells and tissues in your body and controls how they adapt to life around you. Whether your stomach moves in this way, or you release this hormone or what level, that's all regulated by your nervous system. And that is controlled by the function of your spine. So if we're ignoring the system that regulates health and function, how's your body going to function optimally? When we're constantly bombarded by thoughts, traumas, and toxins that affect the alignment, function, and health of your spine, therefore affecting your nervous system and your body's ability to do its job. Right? If you're at 50 or 60% of your normal function, how well are you going to operate? And that goes back to taking care of things, right? If you don't change the oil in your car, if you don't change out the filters, if you don't get tune-ups, and 5 years down the line, it's not running right, it's slow. It's not that your car is bad, it's that you didn't take care of it. Your body's the same. If you don't take care of it, it will not take care of you. And then all the symptoms of effect is what we end up treating down the line. We're treating pain, we're treating health problems, we're treating fatigue, we're treating the effects of an unhealthy body versus supporting function so your body's able to heal itself and regulate normal function. That's why this is number 1. Many of us were taught to judge your health by how you look or how you feel. When you look at health, how do you know if someone's healthy or sick? Right? Can I look at you and say, oh, you got cancer right there, you got heart disease, you got Alzheimer's in 10 years, you got diabetes building? No. There are some things that we can see that may be considered healthy or sick, but that doesn't tell the whole story. And when do you start to feel the effects of dysfunction and disease? You think that's the first thing that comes up? No, you only feel 10% of what goes on. 10%, that's it. Think about that. We're taught to ignore the 90% of what actually regulates your health and focus on that tiny 10%. And we're taught to wait until that small percentage breaks down completely before symptoms and disease and diagnosis shows up, and then to treat and manage that. And you wonder why so many people are struggling with their health, because they think everything's fine, and then they wonder one day, like, oh man, this just came out of nowhere. I just got this cancer out of nowhere. You didn't get it out of nowhere. That built for the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It was happening the entire time. You just didn't feel it. You didn't see it. Nobody told you what to do about it, and now you're at the latest stage trying to deal with the effect versus having set yourself up for success along the way, right? And even at that point, in that area, you still have a choice of how do I address this issue? Even at the most significant health problems, there's always a choice. Do I try to treat and manage it, or do I understand why this happened, support my body's ability to heal and function naturally and get through this? That's the difference between function and feeling. And health is not feeling good. Health is functioning well. That's what health really is. And that's a lifetime goal. When should you ever stop working on functioning better? And as long as that's your goal, you're always going to be better. And what are the side effects of functioning better? Well, you feel a lot better. You feel better, you look better, you're healthier, you have a lot less problems, right? A lot of great benefits and side effects of functioning well. But there's a lot of downfalls of lower function. That's when the pain, the dysfunction, the disease, the diagnosis, the loss of quality of life, and early death happen. And that's what we want to be able to avoid as much as possible. That's why we look at the nervous system. That's why chiropractic is so important. That's why we do things the way that we do, is because we understand, and I hope you do now to at least a degree, that your body is amazingly capable of functioning at its optimal self, healing your body from whatever's going on, as long as you take care of it. And taking care of it is not just dealing with it when you have back pain or headaches or sciatica. That's only when it's at its worst. You need to be taking care of it all the time, especially when you're feeling good. Because you're feeling good doesn't mean I cut off all the things that got me good. It means I keep doing those things, right? If you get to a level of fitness and you're working out 4 or 5 days a week and you decide like, oh, I'm good, and you start working out once a month, how's that going to go?
Not good.
It's not going to be very good. You're going to be sitting here in a couple of months like, man, that working out thing just doesn't work. I worked out hard for a month, I got in good shape, and now I'm back to where I was before. Same thing if you're eating, right? If you eat really healthy and your skin clears up and you feel great, you lose some weight, and you're like, man, I'm doing great. Back to McDonald's and pizza and beer every day, and then you gain 20 pounds back. Your skin looks like crap. The digestive system issue comes back. You're not sleeping very good. This healthy diet thing just doesn't work. Didn't work for me. I did it for a while. I felt better. Now it's back. Must not work. But people say that about chiropractic all the time because nobody ever taught them how it works. They maybe do things for long enough to feel better and then stop doing it. When the problem comes back, they wonder why. I guess not. It didn't work for me. When their goal is to actually not do it, that's when your mindset is shifted in the wrong direction. Where my goal is to get to a point where I don't have to take care of myself anymore. That never ends, right? Health is perpetual. How you take care of it may change over time. That's why we do exams and x-rays and check-ins and evaluations. And we have a plan for people, right? That's the corrective care model where the goal is high level of function. And the relief care model, which is on your insurance plan, which may be recommended by your doctor, and what we're actually taught in school of treatment of symptoms, well, you're not going to get functioning better. You're going to get just enough to where your body gets out of the most acute phase, which is symptom relief. Now, for some people, that's their goal. I just want to feel a little bit better, and that's okay. But if your goal is to be better and to be healthier, that doesn't happen at the level of symptom relief. That happens at the level of optimal function. And once you're there, that needs to be maintained, right? When do you stop brushing your teeth? If you go to one good dentist checkup, you say, oh, no more brushing my teeth. I don't like that floss thing. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm good. And you show up a year later like, whoa, what happened? You got 4 cavities. You're looking horrible. You got a root canal here. Like, oh man, like what's going on? It was good a year ago and I just stopped taking care of it. Your spine needs constant movement every single day. Every day. That's why we give you home care. Because the home care supports the function of your spine and it's meant to be done every day. Just like brushing your teeth, right? If you got kind of distracted and you stop brushing your teeth regularly, now it's like every couple of days, once a week. I actually haven't done that for a few months. There's effects. The thing is you don't see your spine. You can't see that in the mirror. You can't smell your spine. People aren't telling you, man, your spine's not looking too good, right? You don't know. The only way to know is to take an x-ray. And then we see that, and we look on there like, what happened? How consistent have you been with your adjustments? Well, kind of miss here and there. How much you been doing that home care? Well, I kind of do this one a little bit, but I forgot about these other ones. How's your lifestyle been? Scoreboard. It's always there, right? Now, if you're doing those things consistently, and we look like, wow, this looks a lot better. You're getting more of that curve in your neck. Your mobility's getting better. How you doing? Oh, I've been super consistent. I've been on top of it. And constantly, we see that people who are the most consistent and the most engaged do the best. It makes sense. If you take care of your body, it's going to take care of you. That's why we have that system. It's coming in for regular adjustments. Don't miss your appointments. There's a frequency recommendation for a reason, right? There's a reason you should be here 2 or 3 times a week. There's a reason you should be here once a week or every other week, right? That's different for everybody. It doesn't just go based upon what your schedule looks like, how much it costs, whatever down the line. It's what's best, right? And we figure out what those things are. And that may change over time, and it's okay to be okay with that. There's times when you may need to come in more, and there's times when you may need to come in less. I've been getting chiropractic care now for 22 years, I think. And there was times where I went every day. There was a time in my life where I went maybe like once every couple of months. But over time, I've gotten to a point where I consistently am at least once a week or more. And I find that that's what works best for me, because I am under a lot of stress and I got a lot of stuff going on. And physically, my life is demanding. So I know that's what works best for me. Some other people, they need more. Some people, they may need less. I have a pretty unstressful life and things are doing pretty good. Well, it doesn't take a lot to keep that going well, as long as you're consistent. So that's always the goal, is to get you to the level where you can do the least amount actively and take care of your health mostly on your own, because you are the hero of your health journey. We're just here as the guide to support that process, right? And so the more you do to help yourself, the less help outside that you're going to need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why those recommendations exist. And that's why the most important thing I recommend for anybody that is looking to change their health is, before you get the detox program or the gut repair or change your nutrition or start an exercise program, is make sure you get your spine and nervous system checked and you have a plan to optimize that system, right? So if most of you are patients here in the office already, so you get this and you're already under care. If you're not, make sure before you leave today you schedule an appointment to come in and get yourself checked. Because the only way we know what's going on with your spine is what?
Look inside.
Look inside an x-ray. You can look in the mirror and see that your posture's like this or like this, right? That's clear. But the only way to really know what's going on is to look at your nervous system. And every level of your spine controls something different, right? So by doing a physical exam, by doing an x-ray, by understanding your health history and your health goals, we can devise a plan individualized to you to help optimize your health and function to live your best life, right? And that's where it all starts. That's the foundation, and then everything else supports that along the way. To know if you have more than just a back problem, these are warning signs of what's called subluxation. Subluxation is when your spine is no longer functioning and operating correctly and is affecting your nervous system and your health. These symptoms are the late stages of that, and very, very common things. Number one reason why people show up to their doctor: headaches. Headaches. Things that we see consistently here. And I would tell you, in doing this over 12 years now, I'd say about 90 to 95% of patients that come in with headaches, after just a couple of months, no longer have them. Sometimes even after decades of having these issues, because we got to the cause. We didn't give them Excedrin migraine. We didn't give them some special shot or treatment to get rid of it. It's because we took care of the cause. And the body healed itself, right? That's the coolest part. Right? What about menstrual problems, blood pressure, depression, numbness, tingling, dizziness, fatigue, all kinds of health problems that are the effect of the body no longer functioning correctly. And at this point, you can choose to treat the symptoms with medications, shots, surgeries. Or we can look at, why is this happening? How do we restore the function that's been lost? How do we support the natural healing process where these things go away on their own and they don't come back? And we don't need those things, as long as you support and maintain that. That's the Max Living Way. That's the 5 Essentials program, and that's our greatest hope for each of you. So one of the founders of chiropractic, B.J. Palmer, he always said, while other professions are concerned with changing the environment to suit the weakened body, wear a mask, get a shot, avoid these types of things, take these drugs, trying to change the outside, versus chiropractic strengthens the body to better suit the environment.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? Equipping you to help your body fight against whatever's going on around you. So people say, well, I'm sick, should I come in? I'm like, I don't care, because whether I get sick or not has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. It has everything to do with me and how healthy my body is. I can put myself in the worst environments, and it depends on your body's ability to adapt that matters. Now, we all have a physiological barrier that we can't get past. And when you pass that threshold, that's when issues come up. That's when you get injured. That's when you have a health concern. That's when something happens. That's different for all of us. But it had nothing to do with anybody else. It has very little to do with your genetics. It has everything to do with how you take care of yourself, how your body's currently functioning, and what your daily habits look like. And when all those things are going well, you will find that you are much more equipped to face whatever comes up in your environment, because your body is powerful and it's capable. You just got to support it and do it in the right type of way. And that's why we see so many people thriving in their life when they're following this type of system. That's why it's important to keep showing up to the classes, keep applying these things, because it's easy to get outside of this. Because the second you leave this room, what are you going to hear? You don't need to do that. That doesn't make any sense. That doctor is a quack. That doesn't make any sense. The science says this, the research says that, but that's actually highly untrue most of the time. If you actually read the real science and you looked at the real information, you would discover the truth for yourself about what's really going on. And the people who are the most successful are the ones who understand what we talked about today and have not been doing any of those things, right? People that didn't die, that didn't get sick, that didn't have problems are the ones who took care of their health naturally, not the ones who did everything they were told to do, right? Those